What the fuck? What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video bring you my final review for Dragon Ball Daima episode 20, the grand finale. And boy, what a finale it was. And I have a lot that I could say and that I probably will say. This might end up being my longest review because there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this. And I'll say this, I enjoyed the episode a lot. I was so hyped and excited and I was mind blown. This episode was insane and very enjoyable for me. But I completely understand if it wasn't enjoyable for you and if you are dissatisfied with the ending, because there's a lot left to be explained, or a lot that went unexplained. So quick little recap of the episode. I mean, I know y'all watched it, but like, this was me, by the way, for like the first 8 minutes of that episode. He's so cool. That is so raw. Yo, wait. Bro, this nigga is so raw. Yeah, because there was no opening for this episode. We just out the gate, off rip, just straight to the action. Just Goku and Gomah just throwing hands, haymakers, boxing, smears, blast, boom, blam. Just the most insane level of flexing I've ever seen from an anime. Like, that animation was ridiculous. Never in my life did I think I would see this quality and this prolonged amount. You know what I'm saying? It was like 8 minutes straight, bro. We were five whole minutes into the episode. I looked at the time, 5 minutes into the episode before a single word was spoken, and the word was sugoi, or no, maybe it was subarashi. It was like the people on the sideline, like Pansy and Bulma, they said amazing on the sidelines as Goku and Gomah are just having the craziest fight probably in the history of Dragon Ball. I'm not gonna lie. And I know that sounds like recency bias and me hyping up, and maybe it is, but let me live in the moment a little bit. Just let me live in the moment just a little bit, okay? It was insane. That fight was absolutely ridiculous. 5 minutes before a single word was spoken, and then still 3 more minutes of non-stop action. And listen, I appreciate lore and storytelling and world building as much as everybody else. I enjoyed those parts and the slice life moments that we got in Dragon Ball Daima and the adventure and everything like that. My favorite part of Dragon Ball, my favorite part of the entire franchise, is the original, when it wasn't giant beam blasts and power that was capable of destroying planets and everything like that. And it was a lot more grounded. It was based in martial arts. That's my favorite part of the story. But when you handle it like this, when it's done like this, where for 8 straight minutes it's on the quality of a movie like Broly, that was ridiculous. So we get that all-out brawl between Goku and Gomah, and Goku fires off what has to be easily, again, say recency bias, live in the moment, whatever you want. I'm sorry, that's bare minimum top 5, but for me probably top 3, and maybe even arguably top 1 Kamehamehas of all time. When we take a look at the history of Dragon Ball, we think of all the greatest Kamehamehas of all time. I can understand if you, and again, as somebody who appreciates OG Dragon Ball the most, you want to throw Master Roshi doing the original Kamehameha in there for the first time when he destroyed Ox King's castle trying to put the fire out. Cool, I get it. Seeing that for the first time, iconic, classic. I ain't even gonna argue with you. It's not my personal favorite, but I ain't gonna argue with you on that one. But when I think about like my list of the greatest Kamehamehas in history, right? For me, number 1 before Daima, even though I'll talk trash about Super, and even though I don't love Ultra Instinct Goku, I'm sorry, UI Goku sliding with the Kamehameha across Kefla's blast, and then that's number 1. That was the greatest Kamehameha in history. That is too cold. It's too cold, okay? That was number 1 for me. You also got to throw the instant transmission or the warp Kamehameha that Goku did against Cell. Another one, all-timer, classic, iconic, gotta be up there. I think that one was really, really good. Father-son Kamehameha with obviously Goku and Gohan versus Cell. That one's like, actually, no, that's probably above it. You know what I'm saying? That's up there as well. And then you've got the times 10 Kamehameha in GT. Like, is it really on that level? No, but that one's nostalgia more than anything, where it's just like, me as a kid, I lost my mind seeing that, and it was one of my favorite moves in the games growing up as a kid. Like, seeing a red Kamehameha was just so dope to me. But this one, first of all, you got Kid Goku in Super Saiyan 4 in Daima. He did one where he got sucker punched during the charge up and then like backflipped, spun around in midair, slow motion, turned around and still fired off the blast. All timer. And this one, to quote one of the all-time greats, was to go even beyond, because that, bro, when Goku put his fist in the air and the lightning starts surrounding him and going off, and he starts charging up, and all the aura and the energy and the rocks and the dust, and it was like a full minute of him charging up this blast, like literally a full minute at least of him charging up this blast, and then firing it off itself was like another full minute. It was like a straight 2 minutes Kamehameha, and it was probably the most well animated Kamehameha in the entire history of Dragon Ball. And the animation, like, listen, when we talk about impact in terms of like its impact on anime as a whole or Dragon Ball as a series and how iconic it is, will this be up there as one of those in terms of like iconicness and impact? Probably not. But just in terms of sheer cool factor, rawness, and obviously the level of quality when it comes to the animation, that's the greatest one ever. I think that's the greatest one ever, and that might go down as one of my all-time. And it's Super Saiyan 4. Like, come on! It was so cold. It was so beautifully drawn and animated. And that goes for this entire episode. So Goku fires that off, and it just pierces Gomah, just a hole straight through, like straight special beam cannon style, just a hole in his gut. And it not only does that, but like blasts through the entirety of the demon realm, like through all 3 dimensions, like all the realms, just like I mean, you seen it. I saw it. You seen that? I saw it. It was. I'm still geeking out about it, and this is like over an hour after I watched the episode, because I also sat down and talked with the homies after we watched it, and I'm just like, bro, like it was insane. And then that gets followed up by Piccolo coming in to finish him off, right? Because remember, this was all so that they could get 3 blows to the back of his head to take out the tertian oculus and defeat Gomah. And then Piccolo jumps in, manages to get in 2 blows, and then Gomah knocks his ass out. And then Majin Ku eventually manages to leap in while Goku's got him distracted. And remember that book Adansu had him go fetch? Yeah, he smacks him upside the head 3 times with the book, pops out the tertian oculus, Gomah steps on it, down goes Gomah. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little anticlimactic, but it was very goofy and very Toriyama and very Dragon Ball. So like, I can't even say I was surprised. I was like, are you dead ass? Like, yeah, like after such an insane battle, it was a bit goofy ending it like that, because like that was one of the wildest and craziest fights I've ever seen. Not even in just Dragon Ball, just in anime. And I've seen some crazy fights. I've seen my fair share. You know what I'm saying? I've seen more anime than Dragon Ball, believe it or not. And that was just nuts. Like that was just insane. And then it ended with him getting smacked in the back of the head 3 times with a book. But whatever. We're going to fly through basically the rest of this recap, because I have other things like about the episode and about Daima as a whole that I kind of want to discuss with you guys. And feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below, because I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions and feelings on this, because I know a lot of people will agree with me, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I'm going to try to acknowledge both perspectives and both sides and play a little bit of devil's advocate as well as voice my own opinion on this. But that being said, we'll get to that when we get to that. So finishing off the episode, like I said, the tertian oculus gets knocked out of Gomah's head. He's basically defeated. Glorious steps on it, squashes it, boom, it disappears, and he gets captured. So yeah, and then, you know, everybody congregates. Oh my God, hooray, we did it! Yeah, Jason Tatum, you know what I'm saying? We won the championship. Ball knowers, you know. And then, you know, Adansu gathers around, and Majin Ku and Majin Du and everybody, and they bring out this like genie lamp thing, I guess, to like seal Gomah in, but not before Degisu pops back out, because I guess they had him in there as well. By the way, Degisu, what a waste of a character. I really thought there was going to be a little bit more with him, and he got knocked out by a hat, and then that was him. That was the end of Degisu. That was pretty lame. Anyway, Degisu and Gomah get sealed inside this genie lamp, and everybody has a laugh about it, whatever. By the way, in the post-credit scene, they're shown inside the lamp, like playing Super Nintendo or something. I thought that was kind of funny. So with Gomah defeated, obviously somebody's got to become the new Supreme Demon King, and everyone suggests, hey, Adansu, how about you do it? You wanted to do it anyway. She's like, me, y'all know I was serious about what I said before, because like Supreme Kai and all, like, nah, you got a little bit of good in you. You talk about wanting to create the demon world and make it be a scary, villainous place and full of chaos or whatever, but like, hey, you still got a little bit of a conscience there. We see the good in your heart. She's like, ew, no, like, ew, no, y'all crazy, y'all tripping, you know what I'm saying? Me, good, conscious, please. But anyway, they're like, you should become the Demon King anyway. And she actually refuses and declines, because she's like, I don't want to be the Demon King without me having like granted special powers or abilities from the Dragon Balls, because then someone's just going to overthrow me anyway. And they're like, well, by the rules, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoever defeats the previous Demon King is the new ruler. And then they're all like, oh, that would mean, and they turn to Majin fucking Ku. and Ku becomes the new Supreme Demon King, and then appoints Adansu as his Vice Supreme Demon King, and then appoints several ministers. So he appoints Majin Du as a minister, Glorio as a minister, Pansy's father as a minister. The Demon Realm was so cooked. the Demon Realm is so cooked. So yeah, and they all celebrate and hooray, hip hip hooray, whatever. And then we get towards the end of the episode, and Goku and Vegeta are bickering a little bit because Vegeta's kind of pissed off. He's like, yo, you had Super Saiyan 4 this whole time and you ain't never told me. And this is where we start getting to the points that probably bothered a lot of people and rubbed people the wrong way, and where I could see you'd have an issue with the ending, because even more so than like maybe the ending with Ku being a little anticlimactic compared to how that fight went on for 8 minutes at the start of this episode and everything we've been through to that point or whatever. Goku explains that after they fought Buu, he just trained a little bit more because Buu was so strong and he unlocked Super Saiyan 4. He just didn't think it was gonna work, so he just kind of pulled that out, which, like, it's only been like 6 months or something. Like, it hasn't been that long since the Buu saga, because remember, Daima's taking place in between Z and Super, which is also kind of weird because Super takes place before the end of Z itself, so Super is also taking place before Z, but during, you know what I'm saying, it's Dragon Ball. Don't think too hard about it, you're only gonna get upset. So yeah, that's a thing. And he's like, and Goku's like, oh, by the way, I mean, you had Super Saiyan 3. And he's like, Vegeta's like, oh, no, that wasn't Super Saiyan 3. That was Ultra Vegeta 1. I don't know why he was so bashful about it, but whatever. So yeah, we did not get any explanation whatsoever about why Goku and Vegeta do not use those forms at all in Super. And I thought that they would just add in just a brief line where it would be something like, oh, you know, Neva had a hand in it with his abilities, he unlocked a special power in them, or something in the demon realm, you know, aided in their ability to do that. It's not something that they can just access whenever. But you know, that would have made a little bit of sense when they were kids, but then they turned into adults after the wish was granted, and they still were able to, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really know. It's like, as the episode went on, you realize, okay, they're not really going to address this. They're not going to tie this into Super. They're not going to acknowledge why these forms never show up in the Super anime or in the movies or anything like that. Like, why we never see this stuff in Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, Tournament of Power, Universe 6, or anything like that, when it's like, it makes so much sense for these things to show up. My homie Dion, aka C-Rex, as y'all know him, did not like the ending. He took a lot of issue with it. He had some qualms with it that I think was mostly pretty valid, about how he was not in love with the ending because he just feels like there's too many plot holes and inconsistencies, and it doesn't tie in with the continuity of Super and everything like that. And that brings me to like the main part of the discussion I want to get into, even though we're already like 12-13 minutes into this video. We're now getting to the actual part where I really wanted to talk to y'all about, and it's not just me geeking out about how fucking cool the episode was to watch from a visual standpoint, because it was just straight eye candy. Actually, real quick, there's just a few more things we acknowledge at the end. Vegeta mentioned something about a Super Saiyan bargain sale. They threw that line in there. They talked about the Super Saiyan 3, and then there was a post-credit scene where they stopped by the shop where they originally got the bugs. No fusion. Fusion never happened. It was a bait and switch all along for Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 4. That's fine by me. I like Super Saiyan 4 anyway. Also, there's like these beauty bugs, and Bulma's like, oh, yo, I can get me some beauty bugs and, you know, de-age my skin by 10 years. Also, in the back of the shop, Pansy finds a dusty old jar in a corner where the woman who sells the Medi bugs, you know, the revival bugs and the butte bugs and everything like that, the fusion bugs, there's a couple of eyeballs in there. Hey, what's this? Oh, those are Tertian Oculus. You know, I sell them. They're like really rare and expensive though, and you know, people are kind of scared of them, whatever. So I've only ever sold one like a long time ago. I get you a special discount, and there's just 2 Tertian Oculus in the jar, and then that's how the episode ends. What? Also, that end credits episode, or that end credit scene was like overly animated in like a really good way. It was like my homie was like, yo, am I watching a Ghibli movie right now? Just the way like the characters were, like the movement was. And anyway, that being said, getting back to what I was talking about with the actual discussion. So they don't acknowledge Super in any way outside of like the one scene where they're discussing like the demons and the Kais and stuff, and they show like Gowasu and stuff. They don't talk about why Goku won't use Super Saiyan 4, why Vegeta doesn't use Super Saiyan 3, anything like that. And it really wouldn't have been that difficult, in my opinion, or taken too much effort to just throw in a line where they could have done so much. Like, you could have talked about like their memories got wiped. It had something to do with the demon realm and like the atmosphere, the energy in there, something to do with like Neva's abilities, and he unlocked something within them. There's so many things you could have just thrown in. You know, you really could have just been like, it was Neva, because Neva has the whole thing. Like, Vegeta going Super Saiyan 3, like, you could say, At the end of the episode, he could have said, I'm never using that form again because I can't stand to be compared to you, Kakarot, or something like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's Vegeta. That makes sense. You could have just made it like, I'm never using that shit again because I don't want to be like, you know what I'm saying? Just something. So I don't want to use your signature technique, Kakarot. It would just make sense. Vegeta's a very powerful man. You could have thrown in any arbitrary reason as to why he doesn't want to be like Kakarot and use it. Cool. And with Goku, it's like, oh, never. It was he was able to go Super Saiyan 4 because of never. Boom, problem solved, end of story, whatever. But because they didn't do that and they didn't take the time to do that or like even put forth that much effort, it's gonna raise a lot of issues with a lot of different people, my homie Dion included. And here's my thing, okay? I would be lying to you if I said I don't have a lot of questions that were raised because of Daima. I'd be lying to you if I said there weren't some issues in this story with the writing, if there weren't inconsistencies, continuity issues, retcons, plot holes. Here's my thing. While I understand his criticism and your guys' criticism, if you share the same complaints, I think that is valid. However, the problem with that is that Dragon Ball historically has been full of those issues. So when you're expecting a certain level of quality from the writing and storytelling out of Dragon Ball to where those are things that you have major qualms with, I think you set yourself up for disappointment because Dragon Ball is a story that has constantly retconned itself, has constantly made stuff up as it went along, has constantly like changed its own rules and things like that. And like Toriyama just has a history of doing stuff like this where certain things just don't get explained or certain things that you thought were one way actually aren't. And like this is a decently big one for sure, but it's like, remember in the original Dragon Ball when Goku wasn't a Saiyan, he was just some weird monkey boy with a tail, like, you know what I'm saying? And then we go all of Dragon Ball and it turns out, oh, Goku's actually an alien from another planet and they're called Saiyans. And oh, by the way, Goku has a brother. You know what I mean? It's like, where's he been for the last 20 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know what I mean? And then remember when Demon King Piccolo was a demon? Oh, it turns out he's an alien too. He's from another planet called Namek, actually. And then in Daima, it turns out, oh, by the way, yeah, we said, yeah, we are demons, actually. We're from the demon realm. By the way, this is a demon realm with like 3 different dimensions or realms or whatever. Also, remember when Piccolo was still a demon and he spat out demon eggs and we never saw an ability like that again from him or other Namekians because they were Namekians then and not demons, but then they went back to being demons. Remember when Goku read Krillin's mind by putting his hand on his head and then never demonstrated any ability like that ever again? And you can call Super Saiyan 4 an ass pull all day long and you'd be correct. I'm not even gonna argue or refute that. But like, is Dragon Ball not full of those? Because I don't see nobody complaining about Beast Gohan. Oh, but like they've been foreshadowing Gohan Beast for forever. Okay, sure, they've always talked about this hidden potential that Gohan has had inside him and this rage that builds up in him being a half-breed. Yeah, for sure, that's been foreshadowed, that's been foretold and everything like that. But picture this, right? Remember when Kid Gohan got his potential unlocked already in the Namek saga by Elder Guru, and he should have had all his potential unleashed right then and there? Remember when they then in Dragon Ball Z unlocked his potential again by the Elder Kai? Oh, but it still wasn't his potential got unlocked twice, but that wasn't the full potential though. It wasn't until Beats. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you shrug these things off because you like it, and it's all well and good. And you know, I'm just gonna shrug certain things off with this because I like it, and it's just gonna be that at the end of the day. Because historically, as shown, as evident, Dragon Ball does stuff like this all the time. I don't think Daima's any different or any exception. It's just following what has already been set before it. Remember the board? Yeah, it's like a whole world down here. Matter of fact, like 90% of the Dragon Ball world is actually demons. Anybody who got pointy ears, it's a demon. Remember when Potara fusion was permanent and then Vegito unfused for some inexplicable reason inside Super Buu? And we just explained it as like, oh, there's just some nasty stuff going on inside Buu, I guess. It just, you know what I mean? And then it turns out, oh, actually there's a time limit on Potara fusion, I guess. Even though Kibito and Supreme Kai, okay, whatever. And the time limit gets even smaller the more powerful you are. Okay, like, you know what I mean? There's just so many examples where it's like Dragon Ball establishes something and then later on Toriyama or someone at Toei or Bird Seed or whatever Shueisha's is like, I know we said this, but like, what if we do this? You know what I mean? And then when it talks about plot holes and inconsistencies and stuff, like, don't even get me started. Like, and people act like this is something that's new or exclusive to like Super or Daima. It's not. It's not. It's been there since Z. And maybe if you look hard enough, it's probably there in Dragon Ball as well. But definitely since Z, they have been constantly doing this, where there are these issues, these plot holes, these inconsistencies, these retcons, continuity errors, and everything like that. And if you have problems with that, if you're criticizing that, that's valid. You have a right to do that. And you're right in criticizing those things and saying that it should be better. Okay? I'm not mad at you for that. However, Dragon Ball has been going on since like what, 1985. It's been 40 years. Okay, so when you have multiple decades of a story doing this, at some point it's no longer the story's fault. I mean, it still is, but it fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It's just fool me the 100th time, and you're expecting something to be different when it constantly, like, Dragon Ball has shown you what it is as a franchise, and so just expecting it to be like clear cut, clean, and concise, and you know, just detail oriented in its story, and you know what I'm saying. I think you just set yourself up for failure and disappointment that way, because it just hasn't done that historically. You know what I'm saying? So while the criticism I do think is valid, and while you have a right to be upset or disappointed by it, I think if you didn't already go into Daima expecting stuff like that in the first place, you definitely, by the time Super Saiyan 4 came around, should have been like, oh yeah, this probably they not gonna make this shit add up with Super at all. Like, you know what I mean? I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but Super in and of itself takes place before the end of Z. Super in and of itself is taking place within Dragon Ball Z, and now we're inserting Dragon Ball Daima in itself. Like, Super is kind of sort of a prequel itself, and that introduces its own issues, and then Daima's a prequel to the prequel. You know what I mean? Because in case y'all forgot, Dragon Ball Z ends with Goten and Trunks as teenagers. It's a 10-year time skip. Pan is like 4 or 5 years old at the end of Z. She's still a baby. Well, she's actually, Dragon Ball Super is now finally getting to the point where it's catching up with the end of Z, which I'm very curious to see how that goes at this point. Because Pan is like, what, 3 years old now in Super? She's like 4 or 5 at the end of Z. But even still, like I said, Super is taking place within Z, which is, you know, so it's just like, it's always been like this weird, confusing mess with timelines, and we established these facts, but we decided to change it later on, and you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I'm not necessarily trying to, I guess I am in a way, like I'm excusing it or justifying it, but it's not about saying that it's okay, but it's just like, it is what it is, you feel me? And beyond all of that being said, all that aside, the shit was raw. Okay, this is one of the coolest episodes of Dragon Ball of all time. Like, it was just eye candy for days. The fight was dope. We got one of the coolest looking Kamehamehas of all time, and I got to see my favorite transformation, the GOAT that is Super Saiyan 4. So at the end of the day, that's all I really care about. If it's cool enough, I'll give it a pass. And that's just anime and manga, and for me with media in general, for the most part, I guess, is that like, I will criticize something up to a certain point, but if it's cool enough, I'm gonna let it rock. Because at the end of the day, media is supposed to be entertaining. And I thought that shit was mad entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have had my criticisms of Dragon Ball in the past as well. Like, I have criticized Super as well for a lot of these same things, but I don't think Super was nearly as cool for 99% of it. So that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people did not agree with me a month or two ago when I said Daima was better than Super. I think people are starting to turn over a new leaf. I know some of you will still vehemently disagree with me. That's fine. Teach their own. We can all have their own opinion. I enjoyed Daima way more than I enjoyed Super, especially these last several episodes. Like, I don't think Super comes close. Now the manga, like I said, the manga material is another story though. If we ever get Granola and Moro and that stuff animated, that's some top tier Dragon Ball stuff right there. I still want to see that animated one day. One day, I hope. By the way, all the official Dragon Ball accounts have been like tweeting about Moro lately. I don't know if that means like we about to get some continuations. There's a movie coming, there's a new series, whatever. I thought maybe there's potential for a teaser or something in this episode. There wasn't. They didn't, like I said, they didn't lead it into or tie it into anything else post Daima, but it is what it is. But my bottom line is that while there are valid criticisms and issues with the continuity and the writing in this, and while it would have been so easy for them to just throw in like a couple lines, like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue that would explain why we don't see Super Saiyan 4 Goku or Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta in Super, while they could have done that, shit was gas. I ain't gonna lie. But why does Dragon Ball get this pass? It's just because nostalgia, I guess. Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball. It's one of the biggest, most popular, mainstream, influential series of absolute all time. Akira Toriyama is the GOAT. We grew up with this series and we love it, and so we just give it a pass because it's cool, you know. If you don't give it that pass, if you still want to criticize it, that's fair, I guess. I ain't gonna change my opinion in my mind, you know what I mean? Open the discussion though. I really want to see how you guys feel, and hear what your complaints or your criticisms are, if you have any. and how you feel when it comes to like stuff being canon or not, and the continuity and tying it in with Super. Because like I said, while I hear you, while I understand where y'all are coming from, it's Dragon Ball. So like, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. Like, yeah, it is stupid that we don't see these forms again. It would have been so easy for them to throw in just a couple of lines of dialogue to help explain some of that stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. But episode was cool. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I feel like I had even more that I want to say, because we would have a big discussion about this on my stream right now as I'm recording this, because I was recording these live on stream, and I had a discussion with the homies earlier. But I'm sure you guys will bring up some stuff in the comments that I forgot to like mention or acknowledge. So if you do, I'll just try to be very adamant, or not, well, adamant's a fine enough word, but proactive with responding to you guys in the comments. Yeah, I mean, it's all in all, I enjoyed Daima start to finish. This last stretch of episodes was jam-packed with some of the craziest action Dragon Ball has ever had. It was very enjoyable. I got to see Super Saiyan 4, which made me feel like a kid again, and something that I didn't think I'd ever see show back up in Dragon Ball media, especially official Dragon Ball media. And it was an incredible ride. I'm glad to see that a lot of people did change their tune, because people were hating on Daima very, very heavily before it came out, like extremely, like people basically wanted this story to fail. People were saying that they weren't going to watch it. They were extremely disappointed, and to the point where like I feel like people were being extremely entitled, because again, I brought it up multiple times throughout Daima in these reviews. I want to see Granola and Moro and everything else get animated. I would have wanted to see that probably even more than Daima. Now, would I have wanted that over Daima if I had known that Daima was going to give me Super Saiyan 4? I don't know, but I still really, really want to see that. And before we knew any details of Daima, yeah, I would have preferred that as well, easily, before we had information on Daima, before I knew what it was actually going to have in store for me. But it's like, I'm still grateful for what we got, especially now. But I'm glad to see people like actually did take the time to watch it and enjoy it, because shit was fun. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this video, for this episode. Rest in peace to Akira Toriyama. Thank you for everything. Life would be so different if it wasn't for you, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for what the Toriyama has done for me in my life, because I'm not LotusAsakura. I'm not where I am today. I'm not talking to you guys right now if it's not for Akira Toriyama. You know, he's had such an incredible impact on my life, and my life would be vastly different and probably significantly worse if it wasn't for Toriyama. So rest in peace to the GOAT, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all this content when I bring you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.